Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Today we are here for the Why Banks Must Embrace a Smarter Bill Payment Experience. My name is Seth Block. I'm the Executive Vice President of Thermo Credit. We are a commercial lender focused on the communication and technology industries, and we've been doing that since early 2002. And I will be your moderator for today's panel. Let me start off by introducing our distinguished panelists. First, we have Tom Aronica, a noted entrepreneur with more than 15 years experience in building successful organizations in the payment processing and fintech industries. Tom's natural ability to foresee emerging trends and creatively use technology in new ways led him to his most recent venture, a company called Biller Genie, an award-winning accounts receivable automation platform that helps businesses eliminate busy work and get paid faster. Thomas is a member of the Entrepreneurs Organization and is a contributing writer tackling topics on emerging technology trends and sales strategies for the Forbes Technology Council and the Green Sheet Advisory Board. Welcome, Tom. Our next panelist is Lanny Byers, who is the Chief Revenue Officer and Head of Strategy at Voucher, the world's first and only experience and content distribution platform. Lanny brings over 30 years of experience in the payments industry, where he is recognized as an international thought leader in digital payments and fintech. He was the founder and CEO of Gurdon Solutions, a loyalty and rewards SaaS business headquartered in Costa Rica, with clients in South America, Europe, and North America. And he has worked at some of the leading payment companies in the world, including Bank One, which of course is now JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Western Union, MasterCard, CGI, and First Data. And last but not least, our third panelist is Nirmal Kumar. Nirmal is a founding member of AliasWire, where he has more than 20 years of experience working in various technical and executive leadership roles in payments and financial services. He leads AliasWire's innovation and product teams, which built an enterprise-grade platform and strong IP portfolio, including P2P send money, online bill pay for prepaid cards, and EBPP, as well as merchant service solutions. So with that, let's dive right into it with our first question. And Nirmal, I'll start with you. How do you see bill pay space having evolved, and what are some of the key market needs and trends that you see?
Well, thank you, Seth, for your introduction, and hello, everyone. I think when we started in early 2000s, our journey of innovation, the landscape of bill payment was more around digitizing the existing payment mechanism with manual and checks. So it was really all about, turning checks into ACH and, selectively offering, credit cards as an alternative payment mechanism. It was more like cost saving for the big players. And, now things have really evolved, and everyone wants to have some form of bill payment that is more efficient, that is peer-centric, better bill pay experience, real-time posting of the data exchange, seamless transition between portals, deeper integration and cost effectiveness on the card side. So essentially, over the years, it has transitioned from a nice to have, value prop to a must-have feature for every bank, biller, and organization.
Great. Tom, anything you want to add to that?
Only that I think it's, we've seen this paradigm shift in the payments industry towards integrated payments, and the days of, standalone third-party systems that are just these commoditized sales don't add value to the enterprise. And bill pay is just another tool to be able to provide an integrated payment solution, which just creates tremendous more value, enterprise value for that segment of the business.
Great. Lanny?
Yeah, you guys have covered most of it, but like I've been saying, bill pay now is no longer a nice to have, but a must have for both a payee and a payer perspective.
Absolutely. Hey, Tom, let me ask you this. How can you drive collaboration between different banking units, such as banking, treasury management, merchant services, et cetera?
Yeah, so what we've seen in our experience is that these are often very siloed departments in a financial institution, and not only do they work interdependently, but they're often motivated differently and compensated differently. So a business banker is motivated by bringing deposits into the financial institution. Your credit team is trying to put money out on the street. Treasury management is trying to generate new revenue. The merchant services team is trying to penetrate payments into the business banking clients. And oftentimes their interests are not aligned. And so being able to drive collaboration, or rather using bill pay as a mechanism to be able to drive collaboration between those different units, creates sort of like an ecosystem where you have an additional revenue component coming out of treasury management that's able to bridge the gap between merchant services and integrate payments, drive deposit revenue into the bank by facilitating that bill payment experience and accelerating cash flow, ultimately being able to integrate to the ACH networks and again enhancing treasury management solutions. And at the end of the day, with the power of bill payment, there's such a tremendous amount of access to data that the credit teams can leverage and make use of, that these bill payment systems create this ecosystem that drives collaboration between the different units, allowing for interdepartmental cross-functional collaboration, as opposed to these siloed departments that often don't speak to each other.
Sure. Nirmal, can you add anything to that?
Yeah, so I mean, it really, the bill pay experience or the bill pay platform, as you know, payments cut across the entire banking units, and the platforms that support it, if they are able to plug into each of these units seamlessly, I think that drives the collaboration. And I'll take a simple example. We try to follow the model of bring your own merchant services, bring your own ACH. What it eventually ends up doing is the bank's different, like treasury is involved in the ACH, the merchant services involved in underwriting, and business banking is able to sell the bill pay service to their business clients as a packaged service. So all three departments essentially have to work together and drive a higher revenue for the bank and efficiencies within the organization, instead of plugging bill pay from a side as a module, and the money is coming from some other financial institution. So I think as I made a point in the first, the trends, it's becoming more of a seamless and deeper integration within the financial institution across different units, and I think that drives collaboration.
Great. Lanny?
Yeah, I think the days of being siloed, whether treasury is on the I'm going to call it the payee side, and the consumer side being the payer. There's a common thread now across all these business units, and that common thread, it's payments and data, right? And that can be leveraged in this new ecosystem for both the consumer bank to work with their customers. It helps treasury, helps the commercial side, helps small business. And I think banks need to really think differently about how you look at something like bill pay. Right, you can't look at it and say it's only a treasury feature, or no, it's only a consumer payment feature. It needs to be looked at differently because it does go across the full breadth of the bank.
Great. So Nirmal, what are some of the challenges that need to be addressed to drive higher adoption of electronic payments across the entire value chain?
Well, I think one of the key points that's being highlighted again and again is a better payer experience and a tailor-made payer experience. And what I mean by that is, just having 3 or 4 steps to make a payment is not enough anymore. Every industry, every vertical has different needs. So, for example, in healthcare, you might present a bill differently. Like you might want to highlight your deductible or your copays more. more than something else. And in like a collections kind of scenario, you want to highlight your interest. And mortgage, there are different parameters. So it's the same bill and same invoice, but what you highlight, how you make it tailor-made for the payer, so they tend to come again to the website and use those tools. And in addition to that, it should be just simple to make a bill payment. You know, bill payment is, as the expression goes, right? You know, how is it going? You know, well, paying my bills. So if this is something as common as the expression, then it should be easy. You should not be spending 5 minutes to find a link how to make a bill payment. So I think that is the key in driving the payer experience. The second part is, after you made the payment, a positive feedback. You know, the feedback to the customer that the payment has been made, real-time integrations back to the biller system that the payment is reflected, you know, near real time in their system that it has been paid. So there's no disconnect between the system that accepting the payment and the system of record on the account receivable side.
Great. Lanny?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've been talking about this over the last week as we've gotten together, but it has to be a frictionless experience. If you put too much friction in place, if you have to get into your banking app and go 5 pages in to figure out where I'm going to pay my bill, you know, that's not a good experience. You know, and it has to be very smooth, very easy. And something Amal said, it's more than just the payment, right? This is an opportunity to really bring back a whole cycle of communication around the payment. You know, did it post, how did it post, is it real time, right? Are there other things you want to communicate at that time when you're doing the bill pay? Maybe there's something from a bank cross-sell perspective. Maybe you allow the payer, right, and payee to communicate directly to each other to get certain offers or information. I think the technology and ecosystem for bill pay is changing, and it's no longer just about the payment.
Great. Tom, anything to add there?
I'm going to echo what Nirmal and Lanny said about the payor experience. So, you know, I think it's pretty obvious that you need to make that experience easy, and the easier you make it, the faster you're going to get bill payments in. And I guess what I would add is same thing goes for the payee, right? Implementing a bill payment process, that's got to be easy too. You know, think about, you know, a restaurant. How many times in a restaurant's life cycle are they going to change their point of sale? You know, think about a manufacturer. How many times is a manufacturer going to change their accounting software? I mean, it happens once in a company's life cycle, if that. So being able to leverage the systems that they're already using, link into that, leverage the existing you know, departments within the financial institution, and make the onboarding process so that way the payee can also take part in bill pay is almost as equally as important as making it you know, an easy and frictionless experience for the payor.
Thanks, Tom. Lanny, how can banks use bill pay to drive additional engagement with their customer?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, very essential to engage bank customers immediately, brand new customers within the first 60 or 90 days of becoming a customer, whether that's setting up bill pay within the branch when you're there, whether that's a campaign with, I'm going to call it tutorials and 101s on how to do it and why you should do it. And most important, why should a bank care about this? I mean, I think every study that I've ever seen says if you have higher digital payment activity, such as bill pay or P2P, it drives a better ROI for your mobile banking customers, right? Whether that's, you know, better attrition rates, better, you know, lower cost of service. Everything says when your customer is engaged, especially in that digital channel, that's your best customer. So you should set up that bill pay on day one in the branch. You should have a, you know, an education campaign that goes out. Every time a customer sets up a new, you know, payee, right? You should know that within your system, and that's an opportunity to communicate to that customer. And not only just about what's going on there, but about cross-selling other bank products. Engaging means maybe adding some type of an incentive reward, right? Market these type of programs to say this bill pay is just not a one-time, one-off thing. We want you to do this routinely. It should be a part of what you do every month, right? And, you know, you get so many points or so many opportunities to get into a cash or gift drawing every month, right? And more importantly, as bill pay continues to evolve and the technology evolves, it's going to allow the payees to communicate directly with the payers at the time of the bill pay. So banks need to be thinking differently about this ecosystem and how do I get my communications into this new channel, right? To talk about, bank products or to help them with their finances. It's really changing. And again, I always say it's just not about the payment. It's about the whole experience around making that a payment.
Great. Tom?
Yeah, I totally agree. I've always, even in my experience with, banks that I bank with, it's typically very transactional, right? I go in, I need to make a deposit. I want to set up an ACH account. Hey, I need a loan. It's very transactional. It's like your tax attorney. You talk to them once a year when it's tax time. Bill payment allows that paradigm shift where banks cannot now start doing relationship management, and they could look for ways to have a proactive conversation where it's easy to identify potential banking clients that would be good acceptors of this type of solution, and then to be able to proactively do outreach and have some sort of communication where they're adding value and they're consulting, and it's more than just that transactional, hey, I need something, but gives the opportunity for the different departments that we've spoken about, to all collectively reach out and provide that sort of proactive outreach and using bill pay as a mechanism to facilitate that.
Right. Numeral, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I think as Lenny said, this bill pay is a very engaging experience for the payer. The only time, other than, shopping online, I'm paying attention to the line items is when I'm reviewing my bill and paying the bill. So I think the banks get a unique opportunity to get that higher attention span from the payer. If it's a recurring billing, it's like 12 times a year at least. And at that point, depending on what sort of bill that is, they can cross-sell services. They can even tap into offering short-term loans, the current trend of, splitting everything into 4 equal payments. Those kind of products can be easily offered at that point because the customer is engaged, they're already paying. So it is, and then the amount of data that it provides to the bank, the behavior, the customer behavior, what's the bill payment pattern, that data mining, it's a huge opportunity if you see, and it should not be just restricted to the to the Verizons and the AT&Ts of the world. Even the Joe the plumber should be able to be added as a payee and make payment from that one place, so that the customer comes back again to the banking portal and uses it more than just checking the balance of their checking account.
Great. Tom, bill payment is kind of viewed as an acquisition tool, but can it be used as a retention tool as well?
Yeah, in this state of digital transformation that we're in, I think it even goes beyond just acquisition and retention. So, we've talked about the strategies for acquisition already, throughout most of the call. So by making it easy for the payor, you're going to accelerate cash flow. You're going to use bill pay to get more deposits into your bank simply because we're facilitating that experience with the payor, and they're not writing invoices at the end of the year, or writing invoices off at the end of the year, or sending it to a third-party collection company with a extremely low collection rate. It is also a way to drive retention, right? So I always kind of think of it as my own experience. So, Normal just said, Joe the plumber, right? Like the last time I went to Target to buy a roll of toilet paper was 2 years ago, because I've got the app on my phone and I click the button and it's at my house in 2 days. It's that same experience where it's not just the FedExes and the UPSs of the world, but if we can give Joe the landscaper the ability to facilitate that experience with his customers and give Joe's customers the ability to just click a button on their phone and say, I know Joe's coming to, I always say Joe the landscaper. So I know Joe's coming to mow my lawn every 2 weeks. Like, I don't want to get an invoice. I don't want to have to deal with it. Just charge my card. When you facilitate that experience, you drive a tremendous amount of stickiness throughout the entire ecosystem. So if Joe's customer is now dead set on making his payment through his phone, and that phone portal is linked into your bill pay system, which is linked into your depository relationships, which is linked into your merchant services, which is linked into your ACH and your credit decisioning, it makes it almost impossible for a big change, because they'd have to be able to offer a solution that competes with that and shift all of the energy from those customers, which have gotten used to. I'm not switching to, Target's app to buy a roll of toilet paper. I've got it on subscribe and save on my Amazon Prime, and I'm not making that switch. So, bill pay is also a tremendous retention tool, and it is just as much for the merchant and simplifying the merchant experience as it is for the consumer.
Great. Lanny, anything to add to that?
No, I agree with what Tom said, right? And there's a theme we've been saying this morning, which bill pay is more than just a payment, right? It's an experience. And we start to talk about small businesses in particular, like Joe, the landscaper that Tom was talking about, right? Those are the hardest customers that a bank have, right? Or is that a consumer? Is it a small business? Who is this account, right? And I think that the banks need to really look at new packages, new programs around treating these small businesses in a way that they want to raise their hand and say, I am a small business, right? And if you can make my life easier, whether that's integrated billing, right? Being able to set myself up so that I am a payee and all of your bank customers can treat me as a payer, right? You can pay me. Maybe integrate the invoicing for me, provide other ancillary services for a small business that they're going to say bill pay is more than just getting payment. It's making my life easier as a business owner in terms of invoicing, accounting, and talking to my customers. And that's where we have to go. And technology is leading the way here. Great.
Nirmal, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think the trends are clear. As you see, bill payment and e-commerce are the two ultimate destination for any payment company that gets started. You look at the journey, PayPal is thinking about super apps. What are they trying to do to consolidate all the last mile coverage of the plumbers and the electricians payment. Venmo, you pay your hairdresser over Venmo, and it'll be nice to get that as part of a regular bill pay so that, they are able to, present a bill for their services using a banking channel and not through like a informal Venmo channel. So it is a great retention tool. I think the key to solving this problem is, covering that last mile. Whoever does that job of USPS in the bill payment space will be the winner.
That's interesting. So we talked about acquisition, we've talked about retention. Something I'm really interested is there an opportunity here to deliver more content via the bill pay channel? And Lanny, I'll start with you.
Yeah, as we've been saying, it's more than a payment. And I think as bill pay continues to evolve, think about what can be included. Think about in the clearinghouse's request for payment, right, in the real-time payments channel. Technology, especially through mobile, will allow payees to include additional links or call to action buttons at the time of the request for payment. So imagine I make a payment and the payment confirmation screen comes back and there's a button there that says more information or special offer or see your bill, right? All at the time you made the payment, you can click that and the consumer can go there. If we harken back to the days that we have today, the paper bill, every month you get a paper bill and you'd be stuffed full of buck slips or inserts, right? About cross-selling, terms and conditions, new things that are going on, right? And companies are going to lose this communication channel to their customers when they go to this new digital channel. And I'm a believer that they're going to want that. They want to be able to still talk to their customers at the time of payment. But there's no reason that a bank can't also talk to these same customers at the time of bill pay, right? Hey,
right.
Let me help you with the bill. Like Nirmal said, maybe there's a, split your bill and spread out your payments through something that we're going to offer, right, to make your life better. So I envision the day when this is going to be about more than paying your bill. It's going to become a new marketing and communications channel to the consumer, both from the payee and the bank. And it will give kind of a dynamic communication channel for the payer, right, to either parties as well.
Great. Nirmal, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I completely agree. And the trends are clear. If you see the the rise of MasterCard bill pay exchange and real-time payments by Clearinghouse, what they provide is this ISO 222 message, which carries, other than the payment data, it carries the bill data and rich data, which can not only be used as a platform, as a mean for the payee to send additional services and data to the payer, but also gives opportunity to the bank to offer additional services. And I'll take a simple example, like utilities. Traditionally, they show the usage and different kind of things on their portal during bill payment. They can also use the payment process itself to give an opportunity to the payer to sign up for like equal pay subscription, reducing the extremities during the cold months, and offering the 12 equal payments throughout the year. So there are a lot more value-added services that can be offered by both billers and banks to the consumer, just for a simple reason that the customer is more engaged during this process. Great.
Tom, anything to add to that?
I love the idea of that, communication in the checkout experience. I think that is, an easy low-hanging fruit to be able to drive additional offers. And then, I also think about, what about the reciprocity back to the bank? With all of the data that these bill payment systems have access to, many times direct integrations into their accounting softwares that have, access to P&Ls and balance sheets and customer repayment history and aging reports and DSO and, all of these analytics that we could ultimately feed back to the financial institution. And so that way they can drive content decisions based on the data that they have, right? You see somebody that has, $500,000 in AR and they're paying 15 days early, that might be a great opportunity to offer a line of credit, or a loan opportunity. So, not only driving content from a marketing perspective, but being able to leverage data to also drive digital content and digital offers, based on solutions that would be a good fit for that client. I think that's, sort of the future of how we use data.
Yeah, I find that fascinating. So we're going to open it up now to questions from our audience, and I've got a couple here. I'll start off with the first one. From a security or cost perspective, is it better to use bill pay at your bank side or to attach your bank to the business website? And Nirmal, I'll start with you.
Well, I think from ease of use and security perspective, it is about providing that unified experience at the bank site, because that's where your money resides. So if your money is not safe at your bank, it cannot be any safer outside those walls. And then but the key challenge for the banks is to provide that rich data, which is where the BSPs come into play, where they have access to the bill data and are able to give like full presentment, full e-bill, and the real-time posting of the data. One of the key challenges paying at the bank is, you pay today and it gets posted 3 to 4 days later. But the recent innovations like MasterCard Bill Pay Exchange and real-time payments, they are trying to bridge this gap between the biller and the bank. So to answer that question, I think from a security perspective, it's always better to be within the bank's ecosystem.
Yeah, great. Tom, anything to add to that?
I think all of these systems are, inevitably going to be secure. Otherwise, they're not going to be in business. But I think ultimately that decision is going to be driven by the payor, right? Different consumers, different businesses have their own insight as to what they think is secure, right? For every one person that trusts Intuit, there's 2 people that don't. For every one person that trusts PayPal, there's 2 people that don't. So if I'm a payor and I have confidence in my bank, I'm going to use the bill payment system in the bank. If I'm a payor and I have the relationship with Joe Landscaper and I want to use Joe Landscaper system to make the payment, that's where my trust and confidence is going to be. So, I think that going back to what we've been saying, for the last half hour, is making it easy, frictionless, giving a lot of options, by facilitating all of that and giving the consumer or the buyer, the payor, the option to transact in the method that's most convenient, easy, secure, their preference, that's what's going to accelerate not only the adoption of bill pay, but at the bottom line at the end of the day.
Great. Okay, I got another question here, and I'll shoot this one over to Lanny. When you rank the various factors impacting the customer experience, where do you think bill payment ranks?
I think the factors that impact is it from a friction point? Seth, is that the question again? Is it from
No, they're talking about just the customer experience.
Customer experience. I would think some banks, each bank is different. Each bill pay process is different. I have to tell you that there are some, I'm going to call it non-bank products out there that probably provide a better solution, a frictionless solution to some of the bank solutions. So I think my answer to the question is really, if I can make a bill payment when I want to do it from whatever device I want to do it, when I want to do it with about 2 clicks, that's the best experience. And anytime that I have to go to maybe a website and I can't do it on mobile, right? Or I have to get into a mobile app and go 5 pages in to find the bill pay and then do something. It just adding more friction to the process. So, easier, quicker, every channel is the answer to that question.
Great. Nirmal, I've got a question here, and it's a little long. It's a little long, so I'll try to get it right. What incentives do the billers have to invest in the bank payment channel? They're invested in their websites, ability to engage with their customers already. What incremental value / return will they get to push them to invest in things like MC, eBill, and RTP?
Well, I think one of the key thing is the billers, they are still the system of record for these bills. So they own the data. So no matter where the data is presented. So I think it's again comes back to giving consumer the choice, because you're never going to convert 100% of the consumers to the biller website. There will always be some form of consumer that will go to the bank and make a payment that will come through your lockbox or RTPS payment. It'll take, it'll be a high cost payment. So if they invest in these integrated approaches like, real-time payments or MasterCard Bill Pay Exchange, they are just bridging the gap. The choices will be in front of consumer, and there will still be people who will be making payments on the biller website. There will be people who will be making payments on the bank website, but the overall cost for the billers will reduce. As you know, bill payment is not a high margin game, and that's why people haven't invested. In e-commerce, you have 40-50% margin on the goods you're selling, so you're making the slickest possible experience. But the reason why billers are not investing, because they are charging for services that are already rendered, like utilities. So there are not enough margins to heavily invest in these things, and that's why I think different partners, whether it's RTP or platform that provide bill pay out of the box, they all have to work together to bring down the overall cost of the system and give consumers and payers more choices.
Great. We have time for one more question, and Tom, I'll shoot this to you. As a consumer, my bill payment takes 48 hours for the other vendor to confirm my payment. Will this timeline change to RTP, or at least next day payment schedule? What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, so I think RTP is going to continue to accelerate over the course of the next 12 months. It's inevitable. It's coming. Faster same day, next day, even immediate settlement is the only inevitable future of payments. But that said, that doesn't mean that we can't facilitate that experience today, right? Just because it takes 24 or 48 hours for a payment to actually clear doesn't mean that we can't provide notice of that payment to the supplier in real time. So, I've seen a lot of systems out there that are starting to take that approach where even if they're using, it's called legacy payment systems or payment networks that take, a few days to settle the transactions, there's still enhancements that you could do in the buyer supplier experience where you're providing notice to both parties, even though you're waiting for that transaction to settle. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a worthwhile statement on that.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Well, we are out of time. I want to thank everybody for attending And I especially want to thank our panel for doing such a great job. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Seth.
All right.
Thanks, Seth.
All right. Y'all take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah.